Hi and welcome to today's tutorial. Today I'll be showing you how you can plan LiDAR missions inside of UgCS. I'll try to cover different LiDAR sensors and their specifics as well. So without any further ado, let's get right into it. So here you can see I have the UgCS screen already open up in front of me. Now for LiDAR missions, one of the most important things you have to make sure of initially is that you're using a good quality DEM. Now UgCS already comes with inbuilt digital elevation models. To access them, you can go up here in the top bar, click on the map layers window, and here you can see the map layers as well as the terrain elevation layers. Now you can see here that by default we're using SRTM 1 arcsecond data, and for those of you in the United States also we have the UsGS 1/3 arcsecond data, which is 3 times more accurate. This data can be accessed here and you can import it easily in this section. Now you can also import your own terrain elevation layers, but for that we have a separate video, so in case you want to take a more in-depth look at how to do that, you can check out link down in the description below. And now let's get right into LiDAR flight planning. So UgCS is universal software, so we support drones from various different manufacturers, including DJI as well as other brands such as Inspired Flight, FreeFly, and many others. So now let's start by creating a new route. Now let's click here on create a new route. Now here we have two options. We can either import it from a file, so KML or CSV files, or we can create it from scratch. In this case, I'll simply create the new route from scratch. Now let's choose the drone that we want to use. In this case, I'll select the M350 drone, but you can choose some other drone, obviously depending on what model you are using. Now let's click here on next, and then I'll choose LiDAR and select LiDAR area. And now it already prompts me to hold down the shift button and then simply mark out the area over which I want to fly. So now, for example, I can simply mark out this area right here and hit enter to complete it. Now already it will calculate this initial mission. And now we can go through some important parameters for this type of mission. Now, firstly, we have the field of view angle. So this is the angle that will be different based on what LiDAR sensor you are using. For most DJI LiDARs, this will be set at 70 degrees. But if you're using some other LiDAR, just make sure this value corresponds to the FOV angle of your LiDAR sensor. Next, we have the flight height. So this, of course, you set corresponding to how high you want the drone to fly. Then we have the flight speed. So currently it's set at 5 meters, but this one also we can set to slightly faster, something like 8 meters per second. Next we have the line spacing. So this one, either you can set the overlap or you can set an exact side distance. In this case, I'll use an overlap of 20%. Now keep in mind, this overlap relates to the LiDAR sensor itself, not to the camera used. That's a really important note here. And now, next field is the camera. If you're using a DJI LiDAR, then you need to select the exact LiDAR model which you are using. For example, if I was planning this flight for the DJI L2, then I need to select the L2 camera to ensure that the recording actions will work correctly. Now, if you're using some other LiDAR, such as maybe one made by Rock Robotic or Yellowscan, then actually this field also you can leave empty, since the LiDAR camera usually records independently. But for DJI LiDARs, make sure to keep this enabled. Next value is the forward overlap, and this will determine how often will the camera take images. In this case, I will simply keep it as 80%. Now next we have the corner radius. So the corner radius parameter is specific to LiDAR surveys, and this will control the corner radius of all of these turns at the ends. So right now it's set at 6 meters, but actually I can set this to slightly larger value. So maybe let's use something closer to 20 meters. And now you can see that the corners here are slightly more rounded off. Now, loop turn angles I will not use in this example. Turn type, make sure to have adaptive bank turn if you're using a DJI drone. Now, next is the altitude mode. In this case, I'll be using the AJL altitude mode. However, if you are flying over some sharp cliffs, then I recommend you use Smart AJL instead, because it will help you keep a safe altitude, not just to what's underneath the drone, but also what's in front of the drone. Now, next is the IMU calibration checkbox. This is for DJI LiDARs. So if you're using something like the DJI L1, L2, or the L3 LiDAR, make sure to keep this enabled. Now, what this will do is you can see if we zoom in here on either the beginning or the end of this mission, you can see this segment colored in blue. Now, this is the IMU calibration where the drone will do the back and forward calibration of the LiDAR's IMU. On some longer segments within the middle of the route, UgCS will also automatically add those calibrations if that is needed. Then next, we can go here in the Actions tab And then here you can see we have for now just one action, which is set camera attitude, and it's set to 90 degrees. But to also ensure that we're getting a colorized point cloud, you also need to add set camera by distance action. So now with these two actions added, actually we are ready to fly our mission with a DJI LiDAR. Now I'll show you some differences that you need to take into account if you are flying with some other LiDARs, such as Rock Robotic or YellowScan or other LiDAR models. Now, when flying with other LiDARs, you won't really need to use this set camera by distance action. And also, you won't really need to have this camera selected over here. What's important is that you add the LiDAR's IMU calibration to the flight pattern. So UgCS does come with two different LiDAR calibration patterns, the figure 8 and the U-shape calibration. Now we can navigate to the start of the mission or to the location where you want the start to be. And so these LiDAR calibration patterns are available here. Now, if you're using something like the Rock Robotic LiDAR, we recommend to use the figure 8 calibration pattern. And now you can simply select it here and then shift click to add it on the map. Now here I'll also just drag it so it is at the very beginning of the route. This pattern is also used for many other LiDARs, and actually this is the most popular LiDAR calibration pattern, also used for Velodyne and many other LiDAR models. And if you want to add this at the end of the route, you can also do so. Simply let's now select the LiDAR area again and again the pattern, and we can now simply add it at the end as well. And now, if you're using a YellowScan LiDAR, then instead of the figure 8, you need to add the U-shape calibration because that's what YellowScan LiDARs require. Now, let me remove these figure 8 calibration patterns, and now exactly the same as before, we can go here to the beginning of the route. Now, I'll simply select the U-shape calibration. I'll add it here, ensure it's set at the beginning of the route, and now at the end, I can do exactly the same. So at the end of this route, I can also add the U-shape calibration pattern. So in fact, those are the most important differences. One more thing I can show you is a few things in the advanced LiDAR parameters which could be important to take into consideration. So firstly, there's the overshoots. So what the overshoots do is it extends all of the LiDAR survey lines. So for example, if you wanted to ensure that you capture good data starting from the very border of the LiDAR area, you might want to slightly increase the overshoots. So by default, this field will be blank, but now, for instance, I can set this to 50 meters, meaning that the drone will fly 50 meters outside of the marked survey area just to ensure that the area is captured fully. And if you wish, for the overshoots, you can also set the speed separately. For example, if you wanted the drone to turn just a bit slower, then you can also set this to something like 3 or 2 meters or whatever speed you prefer. Now, similarly, if you wanted to extend the area in all directions, then you can also use this area buffer parameter. So for instance, if I set this area buffer to 50, now you'll see that the flight lines extend over the area boundary in all directions. So that's the main difference between the area buffer and the overshoot lines. And now one last thing is we can take a look at this elevation profile that's here, where we can see fully this mission and we can see the terrain and how the drone will fly over it. If we move the cursor through, we'll also see this red dot that indicates exact part of the route that we are now inspecting. Now, if you wanted to make some more changes to how the drone follows the terrain, you can also actually do this through this AGL tolerance parameter. Simply put, increasing this will decrease the amount of waypoints, but will make the flight more smooth at certain times. But if you wanted the drone to follow the terrain just a bit more closely, you can decrease this parameter to something like 1 meter, and now you'll see there will be way more waypoints, but this route will be closer to the terrain. Now also, since we see at some parts of the route actually the flight lines get just a bit too close to the terrain, what we can do in these situations, we can switch to Smart AGL. Now what Smart AGL will do is it will actually increase the distance between what's in front of the drone and the drone itself, thereby also making the flight safer. But there are just a few more things you can do. In the advanced parameters also there's this trajectory smoothing algorithm that's inbuilt into UgCS. Now with this, what you can do is you can smooth out any unnecessary dips of the flight path. So to do that, for instance, you can see I can set this maximum slope parameter to 10%, and now you'll notice that at certain parts of the route, the drone just glides down. This decreases the amount of waypoints, the amount of altitude adjustments that the drone makes, and also does save the battery. Moreover, there's also this minimal gap parameter. With the minimal gap parameter, you can say what should be the size of gaps that the drone should skip. For example, if I entered 100 meters here, you will now notice that at some parts of the route, the drone simply skips over these gaps, so flies over them without dipping. And these are just some of the features that UgCS comes with to make your LiDAR missions safer and ensure the data you gather is more accurate. So to summarize today's video, I took you through how you can plan LiDAR missions in UgCS and how you can tweak different parameters to ensure that your flights are safer and can collect better data. If you want to see more information, make sure to check out our YouTube channel for more videos like this, and make sure to like and subscribe, and see you in the next one.